I am Toymaker ZW and I've created a realistic catnap with flocking, so it's only fair that we make his victim, DogDay, for this video. Unlike the cute one that we made before, this will be the most accurate DogDay ever created because we are using his exact 3D model. And it's also a great opportunity for us to fix some issues that we faced in a catnap video, like the cup. Previously, we did not have a suitable flocking applicator, so we used the cup to apply the flocking, which was terrible. But now, we bought the toilet roll with holes. And then we only had like 20 grams of flock, but now we have big bags of them. And lastly, DogDay has multiple colored fur, so I am quite curious how we can apply different colored flockings without affecting one another. But first, we need to choose a pose. I know the popular pose would be DogDay hanging on a wall because that's how we first encountered him, but then he got possessed by the smiling creatures and started chasing us, and that made me piss my pants. So I want to recreate that badass version of DogDay. Plus, I'm pretty sure most of us were too scared to even turn around and look at him, so with this exact animation loaded into Blender, we can admire his chase without being killed. Now we just need to choose which frame from the animation we would like to print. And I would like one that shows him crawling, but also looking at us sinisterly. And I think this is it. Simply export it out and we can import it into ZBrush to make him printable. This step is necessary because, as you can see, the model is very low in detail and we need to fix that. Unlike CatNap, we didn't have an animation glitch that made his hands all messed up, but because he's crawling, we need to make sure that he can lie on the ground properly. So I'm going to add a little cube below him to help me adjust all his features like his hands and the belt to lie flat on the ground. And to prevent him from toppling over, I want his other hand to be on the ground as well. And he still looks like he's crawling, so that's good. Next, we are going to add some details to the model by increasing the logo so that it doesn't lose its sharp edges. However, DogDay has a lot more accessories like the belt, so we are going to separate them individually to smooth them out. Then we can thicken the black strings and move them into place to print them better. Actually, after taking a closer look, DogDay does have some animation errors, like the neck is all twisted and the palms are clipping through the belt. But if we can see it, it's okay, just like what Mod Entertainment does with their animations. The zipper, however, is pretty visible, so we need to add it in with the same brush I used for CatNap, and we can adjust the position and the size according to the texture of his body, which also reminded me to add some details to mark out the different colored areas for flocking afterwards, like on the face and the brown patch on his eye. DogDay is also more plush-like than CatNap, and he has some seam lines running down his back, so let's mark it out as well. As for his eyeballs, which are floating in mid-air, I extended them into his brains and we are going to leave them in his head because I don't think there's a need to separate them. But we are going to separate his head and his arms just like CatNap separated his body from his legs. Then we are going to give him keys for each of the parts in order to put him back together later. We also dug a hole for the charm, separated his ears from the head, and we are ready to print with the Phrozen Mighty 8K, which I have used for so many projects. I just think that it has a really good sized build plate that lets you print a pretty decent amount of prints, like the entirety of CatNap or even all of the smiling creators. And as expected, it has no issues printing every single part of DogDay as well. And it's pretty fast too, just after 8 hours, we have our prints ready. Perfect with no issues at all. Like, look at the details and that creepy face. Okay, let's take them out and get them off the build plate. You know, it's like Christmas morning every time we print, and I don't even need to buy anything anymore after getting a printer. Alright, here's a closer look at the prints before any post-processing. Like, wow, the tiny black strings have been printed out with no issues. DogDay's head is creepy as hell, and the tiny little charm came out really sharp. There are a few fragile things we need to take note of when cutting the supports off, like the end of the belt and the belt buckles. Like you can see, it's quite flimsy now, so we don't want to overcut it. But once we snap most of them off, it's okay to just peel the rest of them off like this. Perfect. The rest of the prints are not as delicate, so it's easier to remove the support, like the head and the ears. We just need to peel them off and that is it. I'm just gonna do a quick test fit to find out if there's any issues, but from experience, it should work perfectly with no issues. And lastly, we attach the head to the... What? Oh, I forgot. The collar was actually clipping through the head, and I totally forgot to adjust for it. And now the head is not able to fit in. Oh, if there's something or someone is trying to prevent me from bringing DogDay back to life. Anyway, there's nothing we cannot fix with a little sanding and a little love from and for our supporters on Ko-fi, Patreon and membership. If you're not able to join us on any of these platforms, just press like on this video or subscribe to the channel and you can still help us in your own way. And now it fits in perfectly. Throw them into the Cure Mega S for a quick curing to harden those fragile parts for about 10 minutes, fill up the holes with UV clay, do some final sanding, and we are ready to do some flocking finally. I'm just gonna glue the arms on first so we can flock them together, and I really like this glue that I bought from Daiso for only $2. It's really quick to dry, it has worked on so many kinds of materials, and it's so strong. Just like CatNap, DogDay's palms are also not as furry, so I'm gonna paint them brown first, and while we are here, we might as well paint the belt since they're also brownish. At last, the box returns, and we now have the applicator. I don't know how well it will work, but we shall see. We also have a lot of flocking now, so there's no more excuses for any board spots. Again, we'll be using Mod Podge as glue. I cleaned up the box and we are going to start easy with his ear. Apply a layer of Mod Podge, dump in a bunch of flock into the toilet roll and start pumping. I did a lot of pumping, like a lot. Then I flipped it over and not a lot of it stuck on. And it wasn't sticking well either. I don't think the applicator matters since the limiting factor is the Mod Podge that is not accepting all of the flocking. So in the end, I just used my hands since most of them just fall off after you turn it over. I struggled a while, but what I found works for me is to give the entire surface one thin layer of flock. Doesn't matter how thin, just cover every part up first, then we can use a top coat to harden the first layer and we can do the second layer, but this time just a little dabbing of the Mod Podge so that the first layer doesn't get pulled off. Now apply more flocking and it should have a better coverage than before. Finally, we can spray paint it to get the final color that we want and also set the flock to the print. As for the yellow flock, I found that actually the areas without Mod Podge will not be affected by the flock. So we don't even need to mask it, just flock the areas separately and it will be fine. We can also hand brush the flock with acrylic paints and it worked kinda well. As for the mouth, we're going to try something called Musou Black, which was suggested by some of you when I made CatNap. It was also used by Wicked Makers on their own DogDay, so I'm quite excited for this. It's supposed to be like the Blackest black or something, where it doesn't reflect any light. And wow, indeed, it does look like an endless void, so cool. I'm gonna do the same for the eyes, both of them, but not for the nose because I'm using regular black to have a little more contrast. And it looks, oh my god, someone's dying to reunite with his body. We're not done yet, we still need to paint your brown spot on the eyes, so I'm just dabbing on some brown paint. And it's actually working, so it's good to know that we don't even need brown flock. Now we can possess DogDay with some white paint, but in order to know the right eye placement, I blue tagged the head temporarily on the body to see how tilted the head is. And with the head in place, we got the white spot on, and then we can add the black spot. And it's done. Glue the ears on and everything is coming together.
Give me my body.
Okay, so for the body, I want to paint the belt a different shade of brown, then paint the black strings, and also black for the inner pair of belt. Then to really bring out the contrast, we're gonna add some chrome to the belt buckles to make them super shiny, and also add the chrome to the zipper as well. The most defining part of DogDay, however sad it might be, is the blood of his lower half. So we have to add it in. I was actually worried that the flocking might fall off when we start hand brushing, but it is accepting paint so well. I did a quick hand brushing for the logo and added it to the body. Then I started a really dirty DogDay up because he really shouldn't look so clean for someone who was amputated and tortured. And finally, we reunite the head with the body, and DogDay is ready to haunt you. DogDay from Poppy Playtime, flocked to give a realistic texture. It's really amazing how flocking can take a 3D print to the next level. Like, it was just a smooth beige print, and now it looks like it's about to jump scare me. The new Musou black worked really well, as you can see from the differences between CatNap and DogDay. I love the weathering, especially the bloody portion of his body, and everything just came together in the end. I enjoy making Poppy Playtime characters, life size or small. Let me know who I should flonk next, and I will see you next time.